Today I'm going to be installing and reviewing this Mopar, official Mopar gas cap. Now I recently replaced the gas cap on here with a generic one. As you can see, this one is like brand new. And I did that because it was showing a little code that had like a small evap leak and said to replace the gas cap, right? So I purchased a gas cap, put this generic one in, and it immediately kicked on the check engine light, immediately. So I had not had check engine light on before. It was just a code that it was throwing, like, and since it was a small evap leak, it wasn't throwing the check engine light. Well, as soon as I put on this generic one, it threw that check engine light on. So what I did was I ordered an authentic Mopar one rather than using this cheapy generic one. Now, obviously, because it's Mopar, because it's an authentic one that's made specifically for Dodge, Chryslers, etc., then you are going to have to spend a little bit more to get it. However, it is important to note that if it works, it's definitely worth the cost. So let me go ahead and open this up, show you what it looks like, and then get it swapped out. Now, when you're replacing your gas cap, probably the most difficult thing to do is going to be to remove your tether from the little hole and then to put it back in. Now, to put it back in, it's going to be relatively easy because you can just grab a pair of pliers. However, pulling this out, especially if it's, halfway new, which this one was a new one that I'm then replacing with an actual Mopar one, you can see this one is brand spanking new. I literally only got it a few days ago, immediately kicked the check engine light on. But pulling and putting the new tether on is going to be the hardest part. If you're not able to get it, you can actually remove this. Now, this one has more room. Some of these are really tight. You can actually remove this whole thing by just removing those two screws, and then this whole assembly can pull out of there if needed. Now, this is just the generic versus the Mopar, and honestly, they look relatively similar in regards to the function of them. Like, this one has some different, like almost, you can see that texture that's going to be on it versus the generic one. But like seal wise, they look to be about the same. Like, everything looks kind of similar on these. My guess is that the seal that's on this generic one just doesn't seal quite tight enough versus this one that's for the authentic Mopar. So that is my guess as to why it's causing the check engine light. Just this little seal guy right here probably just isn't making a tight enough seal. So, I'm going to go on like that. I'm guessing that there, that makes a tight seal. And this one, for whatever reason, like, although it clicks and although it turns and everything else, my guess is this little rubber gasket just isn't making a tight enough seal. Like I said, they look virtually identical. The seals look to be pretty similar as well. So, like, honestly, this seal on the Mopar one is smaller, which maybe that's the reason. Like, maybe that's too big to actually go down inside of this cap or something like that. I'm not really sure, but went ahead and swapped it out for the Mopar one, and then hopefully it'll fix the check engine. All right, so it is installed, super easy to do. Again, I just feel like it's going to be this little rubber gasket that's causing issues. On this Mopar one, it's going to be like a hard, rigid rubber almost, versus that generic one had a really soft. So I'm guessing that this hard, rigid one kind of sits down in there and makes a really tight seal, and then the generic one does not. The tether also went in a lot easier on this authentic Mopar one. Like, it was designed exactly perfect size, so it literally just went a tiny push right in onto there. So hopefully this will fix my check engine light.